Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Kraeher, Leigh Stima, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Hello, and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with Gretta and Yvonne and the Realm of Beings, and we're very pleased to be on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. These conversations will help you examine your life and your creation of reality to find out what you're creating and how it shows up and gain some understanding. So listeners, thank you for joining us this week. Every week, for those of you who may be new to the podcast, we discuss, Gretta, Yvonne, and I, a quote that Gretta has downloaded from the Realm of Beings. So this week, we will be talking about personality and all that goes with it. The quotation we will be discussing today is treat yourself with kindness. All of you are innocent and divine beings. It is your personalities, which themselves are illusions, that distinguish you from accepting that you are divine. Ladies, thank you. How is everyone today?
You know, we're just diving because when you asked that question, we were both, Yvonne and I were both silent. It was like we had to really seriously think about how are we today. Feeling great.
Good.
Considering I've been really developing a lot of realities, opportunities for growth this week, but yeah, feeling great.
Okay, we like those, right? And from this quote is a long one, number one, and there's so much to unpack in it. I love the first line, treat yourselves with kindness, because I often think that sometimes the part of our personality that is our biggest critic doesn't often like to do that. And I'd like to maybe start there, by just posing this question to both of you. Do you think is personality like a synonym for ego? And sometimes through psychology and things like that, the word ego has maybe gotten a bad rap. But if ego and personality are synonymous, it's necessary. Our personalities are what make us, even though we're all one, those personalities bring out our individuality and our creative genius. Yes, no, maybe. What are you ladies thinking?
I agree with that statement. I think it feels that it resonates with me, and it feels that it's truthful, at least in me, that personality could equal ego, that we, kind of throw that word around. I like to focus on the first piece of that right now. Treat yourself with kindness. And I feel like one step, that'll just automatically lead to treating not just yourself, but everybody with kindness. It's like a reverberation. So yeah, I think that's the crux of the whole quote. treat yourself with kindness and focus on that piece, and then everything else kind of falls into place, that you are divine, you are a divine being, and that yeah, what you're creating through your personality maybe is an illusion.
I think that, I guess, I agree with you, Yvonne, but at the same token, I've got to take it into why don't we treat ourselves with kindness? And I think we don't do that because many of us as children, which includes me, were negated when we were growing up. We were taught that we were not going to be anything. And that was ground into us. You know, I've worked with a lot of people in my facilitation process that have gone through this. And a lot of the challenges that we have as adults come from what we created as to experience as children. So one of the things is that we have to learn to love ourselves, because that's the basis for treating ourselves with kindness, not to beat up on ourselves. I've had people tell me, well, I haven't accomplished anything. Yes, you're accomplishing something every day. It may not be what you would want to rate it as being the greatest thing, but you're accomplishing. And we've got to remember that this whole process that we are going through here in this reality is about learning lessons. That's the main part of it. Learn the lessons. Every lesson, I don't care what it looks like, is an opportunity for our growth. That's all it is. Nothing else but that. An opportunity for our growth. So you wouldn't beat up on yourself if you were in first grade and you were learning how to read, you know. Now, some children might, because they might think that they're stupid or dumb, because some people might have told them that you can't learn, you know. But the thing is that if we can understand, like I said just previously, that these are just lessons, then we can start to move back from putting so much emotion into them and so much dread into the ones that we don't want, the realities that we don't want, but we created them anyway. Then when we step back from all of that, then we can say we're treating ourselves with kindness. We don't have to beat up on ourselves because we're addicted to cocaine. We don't have to beat up on ourselves because I'm leading a life of a prostitute. We don't have to beat up on ourselves about any of that. It's just that if you don't want it, just change it.
And I'd like,
go ahead.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to step in there because there was, you know, before the podcast and I was contemplating this quotation, you know, this treat yourself with kindness, you know, and the part where it says, we are innocent and divine beings. It is your personalities, which themselves are illusions. You know, what I wanted to make sure that I at least brought up and tried to get across is, and I know for myself that, you know, I think part of that treating ourselves with kindness begins in, you know, taking ourselves less seriously, right? I know myself, you know, if we can, you know, everything feels so real and tangible in front of us. So what we're creating to experience seems so weighty and real a lot of the times, you know, especially when it's maybe we're creating things as we don't necessarily want them to go. But if we can just like pause and, you know, and in a moment and just lighten up, you know, like this isn't so serious. You know, if we are actually, you know, if we claim to be the force and we are eternity and infinity, you know, we have time, number one, I guess, whatever that, you know, however relative that is. But, you know, just be less serious with yourself. If you're creating something and if you find yourself in a pause, you know, the great thing about this realm is that we have the ability to make something new, you know, and that's the freedom. And, you know, there's a, when we can recognize that, there's a lightness that comes with that. And I think being a little less serious is like the first step to being a little more kind, you know, if we can just like stop and laugh at ourselves, you know, because laughter is like such a good medicine. And once you kind of can take it less serious, you diffuse something, and then that's when you give, I think, space for the kindness to enter.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I would agree with that. It can be challenging, though. I must admit.
Right, of course. That's what I was saying. If you can manage to find a pause, you know, just a pause in that moment, and just to have a little, you know, like that interjection of, okay, like I can correct this, you know,
Mm-hmm.
even that is being a little more gentle with yourself. Maybe I don't know how to correct it at this moment, but the possibilities and the probabilities are endless, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, when you relax, like you're saying, take a pause. When you take that pause gives you the opportunity to move away from that reality that you've created that you don't really appreciate that much. Gives you an opportunity to move away from that. The fact that you're moving away from that gives the energy more impetus to recorrect what you want or what you didn't want, to recorrect that, recreate it, you know. But if you stay in it,
Right,
then
it's just
going to be right.
that it's
Right.
just that energy stream is just free flowing.
Absolutely, and it's giving more strength. So that's why I think the statement that you've made today, Leigh, is so important. Because when you step back from it, that's when you can create something better. If you stay in it, then all you're doing is giving more energy to it.
Right,
And
you're
that's
just
what you don't want.
right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the pause, as you said, the step back is really treating yourselves with kindness. Just even doing that is a recognition that I'm loving myself because I'm stepping back from it.
Right. And, you know, maybe the next step is, you know, how can I see this differently? You know, I mean, asking ourselves that question.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I had a young man maybe about 5 years ago or so, and he had been trying to pass this exam so that he could go into the doctoral program at the university he was in. He was dealing in math. And every time he took it, he didn't pass it. Every time. So finally, he got his way to me, and we had to, first thing he had to learn was relax about it. Relax. It's okay that you didn't pass it 3 times.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you're not going to pass it this time. Just relax. And we had to work on him loving himself, knowing that he was worthy and deserving of passing that test so he could move to the doctoral program.
Right.
And we only had, show you how fast it worked. I think we had 2 days because the test was going to be the 3rd day. So we started working on Sunday. He spent time after time after time with me Sunday. Same thing, time after time, giving him affirmations, talking through the things, helping him to see that there's a different way that he created. So he went in on the 3rd day, took the test, and passed the doggone thing, and passed it very well, in fact.
Mm.
So the thing is that he had to learn to really appreciate himself and step out, pause, as you said, Leigh, pause from feeling he was a failure. He had to pause from that, step away from it, so he could be successful.
Right.
And
And
see,
go ahead.
No,
Those
go
are
ahead.
all programs running in the back of our head somewhere. And you know, once they get cleared out, I bet his life turned around on all levels. I don't know if you stay in touch with him, but probably once that program was cleared out, made space for 6, like, whatever changes, shifts in every area, not just his
Test taking.
educational program. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing, I have been in touch with him. In fact, he came back to me for a while. And he's doing quite well. Doing
Good.
quite well. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's wonderful too. It speaks of the reverberation, right? When you change a mindset, that it isn't isolated, and that works, both ways, right? So, I was reading something over, between podcasts, and I mean, sometimes I guess it's just the way things hit us. It seems so simple. I mean, what I'm going to tell you seems like so obvious, right? But it's stop judging what you see. And we can stop judging what we see, and we can look internally to see how we're seeing it, right? I mean, that was what you were tutoring this gentleman to observe, how you're seeing it, like create a new picture for the outcome, not what it is, just how we're seeing it. And I guess, that kind of like, that's the whole point of this podcast, to shift your impression, how you see it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the personality plays a very important part in that. I don't know if I would equate personality with ego.
Okay.
I don't know if I would do that. I know what ego is, but I don't know. I'd have to go back and relook at that before I would say that personality is the same as ego.
So would you say the personality is like that outer clothing that you show the world about yourself? Like, how would you define personality if you were to describe it?
Personality, as it's said in the quote, first of all, is an illusion, because the true essence of our being is that we are divine. So the personality assists us in developing our creation of reality. So, and the personality is forever being formed. It starts to be formed when we are in the incarnation stage, before we even come here, before we go through the process of conception and then birth. Because we want, the personality helps us to set the lessons that we want? How am I going to develop myself? How am I going to appear? How do I want to be? Do I want to be a personality that is narcissistic or thinking more of self than anybody else? Do I want to develop a personality that's borderline? Now we're getting into psych. I'm not going to go into psych too much with that. But those are decisions that we make. Do I want to come here and support myself in a schizophrenic state of being? So the personality sets that pace, and you set that pace soon as you choose your parents. That's part of the pace. You know, some of us choose parents that are extremely challenging for us to be with, but we enter into that family, and that personality is part of what we have chosen already. What happens is that once we get here, then we build on it. We build on it.
But there's like flexibility in that, and like personality. I mean, you know, personality is the action that are the characteristics that allow us to create our reality, right? I mean,
well, they support it. They support it because if you're being, everybody has a personality. Even the animals have personalities. You know,
right, of course.
You know, so, but yes, it sets the pace. It just sets the pace for us. You know, you can be a kind person or you can be a mean person. I'm sure there's some in the audience has met people that you could judge them as being mean. Their personalities were not kind to other people. Then you have personalities of people who like to judge people all the time or criticize people all the time. That's a personality. So what are they doing? They're supporting the other person in wanting to be criticized. In other words, person A, because their personality doesn't necessarily love themselves, within themselves, they're not loving themselves. So therefore, they're going to create, to attract an individual who has a personality that likes judging and criticizing. So therefore, the other person is going to receive these criticisms and judgments because that's where they're at. So then the personalities, it's interesting, the personalities attract each other, you see. So it's another way of us learning how to be in this reality that we've chosen at the moment. You know, in this broad reality, because there are a lot of many realities that are going on. But in this broad reality, you know, we've chosen to go through that. We've chosen to be criticized because I criticize myself. Every day, I'm going through a criticism of self, you know, not loving self. So therefore, I'm going to attract other personalities to me to support me in that process. So there's a lot of support. Yeah, go ahead, Leigh.
Oh no, I was just thinking the interesting part is if we're all, as it says in the quotes, innocent and divine is our essence, right? Like the personality is the way that the force gets to experience everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, the tool that force uses to be able to like manifest all these myriad, you know, 7 billion different experiences and perspectives. and it's moldable, and we can transcend that. And I guess maybe, I don't know, is there a difference from if you can remember that you are divine and innocent, like that's your essence. The personality isn't your essence. It is just something that we use. So if we can remember truly what we are, and and if what we truly are is innocent and divine and loving, you know, allow that energy to come through, then that shifts the personality. It's when we are totally forgetting that we are the essence and the source of everything, that, like, I guess, is that the dividing line between like personality and ego, is when you're just like completely enveloped by the personality and not remembering the essence.
I don't know. Like I said earlier, I would have to, I know Freud, if I'm not mistaken, came up with all that ego, super ego, the id, and
Like,
all that kind of stuff. I don't know if I would have to really go back and review that, Leigh, if to be able to compare personality with ego. Because there's so many parts to his concept of ego.
right, if we just want to stick with the word personality, when you get lost in the personality and not like so lost that you forget like completely, or you don't allow like your true essence to that energy to stream through, and you just get taken away by personality to manifest.
But I think some of us do. In fact, all of us do, tell the honest God truth of what I'm thinking, everybody, because after we get to know somebody, we can say, oh, their personality is blah, 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 so it really goes back to us, like you said. But, not everybody realizes that they are the force. This is a learning. This is why I think this podcast is so very important, because we're teaching, think of yourself as that kind person. Start thinking of yourself as a gentle person. Think of yourself as being divine. And some people have a hard time doing that, I'm sure. Look at someone who is quote unquote homeless. They've created to exist in homelessness. They aren't necessarily seeing themselves as divine beings when they're trying to eat every day and they're living in a tent under a viaduct. So it's something we learn. It's something we learn. We have to learn. Let me say this. Let me correct myself. We have to relearn that we are divine. Because
I think it's, oh, sorry, Greta, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think it's just, I've just been contemplating. I think it's just a remembering of the innocence. Like what keeps coming up for me is, remember the moments of your childhood that were sweet and innocent. I know you said we decide, the incarnate stage, the family, the parents, and everything else, but there is a moment, at least in my memory bank, that was just untarnished, untouched by those patterns of whatever they are that program into, like, trauma or whatever things you want to unlearn or unmanifest in your life and go back to your divine remembering of that piece. But what if, treat yourself with kindness and remember yourself as a playful, joyful, child, that didn't have any cares or worries. I don't know.
I think that works for people who had childhoods that have a lot of wonderful memories in them, and that they can go back and look at that and breathe on it and bring it up forward for them. But then I think we have people in the audience that have not had that experience, that can't sit back and say, let me think of something that was really great. They can't even begin to even fathom that.
What about siblings and raised in the same household? And half of them had a great childhood and the other half didn't. So what do you like?
That's creation of reality. What did they choose to do? What have they chosen based on the lessons that they have to learn? So it's just, we have to, it's not I don't see it as a fast process, but that's my judgment of myself. Because for me to get where I am at this point, first of all, I could tag it as not being easy. I could tag it as being definitely challenging, and then arriving, like I've often said, to love myself. I didn't really start loving Gretta until I was in my late 40s. So just from there to my late 40s, I started to begin to learn, okay, you can appreciate yourself, Gretta. It's okay what you created. It's okay what you lived through. It's all right. Because once I learned that I created my own reality, I had to go back and look and say, oh my God, look what I created. It's just whew. And sometimes I think I said, it's a blessing that I even made it through what I created. I have to look at sometimes that, dag, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I made it, and still are creating challenges where I can say, that's that pause. I have to go, okay, now Gretta, look what you created. Now how are we going to deal with this? So it's oh my God, I can't even begin to think about it. But I'm trying, when you said what you said, Yvonne, I was trying to go back and see what did I like during my childhood. And one of the things I liked is that once a year, my mother would take me to Riverview and I'd get to the fun house and look at all the mirrors and eat. And she would take me to the circus. But see, remembering that she would take me to the circuits and I'd go to the fun house still didn't help me get through the fact of all the other crap I created in my realities, which were opportunities for my growth. I had to really deal with Gretta. I say,
all good.
Out there listening to this, don't get discouraged. Just keep on keeping on.
And treat yourself with kindness.
Yes,
ladies,
you can get through.
I don't care
what it is. You can get through. I don't care if it's cancer. I don't care whatever it is. You can get through it. Don't think that you cannot, because you can.
You can.
But Yvonne, before we take the break, I just wanted to interject one thing. As I'm sitting listening to both of you, I know everyone is where they are, right? But at some point we have to reflect back, because if we are having these conversations and the people that are, keyed in to listen to our conversations, a lot of the things I say here are just mind trying to figure it out. I haven't necessarily embraced everything in my heart, but if we're here having the discussion and those who are listening to this discussion, have a little bit of gratitude, because I guess we are on the path to some kind of remembering and some kind of understanding, right? And wherever you are on that path, if you can remember to take the pause, I understand what Greta was saying. If you're creating homelessness and you're stuck under a viaduct trying to scrounge around for food, you might not be creating to, you're creating, but I'm saying to maybe listen to this kind of conversation. So, and that's okay too. But I do have gratitude for our listeners and the two of you and the realm for even having the space and time to contemplate these ideals. So that's just what I wanted to add.
Thank you. That's perfect. That's a perfect place to take a pause and focus and contemplate the gratitude, because I think that's the key. I also think that's the key, but we have to jump off, take a quick break so we have enough time for the realm when we come back. So please, listeners, stay tuned. Thank you for being here today. And for the regulars, thank you for being here always on Fridays or listening to the reruns, the tapes. So we'll be right back after our break.
Hello, thank you for staying with us on Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We've reached the point in the podcast where the realm gets to weigh in directly about what we've been chatting about this quotation. Realm, are you with us?
Absolutely, we're with you all.
Yes, always. So today we've been talking about treat yourself with kindness. All of you are innocent and divine beings. It is your personality, which themselves are illusions, that distinguish you from accepting that you are divine. What do you have to share with us today?
I think that we would start saying that to remind everybody that everything is an illusion. Notice what we said. Everything is an illusion, except for that which is your divinity, because you are the force. And we know that that is a challenging concept to embrace and to understand. How can I be the force when I'm going through all of this myriad of experiences, some of which I like, some of which I don't like? If I'm the force, then I don't want to deal with that. But that is not what we agreed to, including ourselves. Just because we are thought and have no corporal beings at this point in time does not mean that we don't go through creation of reality. It does not mean that we can take on personalities. We can take on personalities however we want it, when we want it, because that's the creation of our reality. So you can do the same thing, because you're not separate from us. We're all one. Because we call ourselves the realm of beings does not mean that you are not us and that we are not you. So we too are learning more and more through the experiences that we create, that we want to be and see ourselves always as being divine beings and being the force, regardless of what you create. As you stepped into a movie, let's say you're an actor and people want you to be hired. So they hire you to be an actress in film A. And then when film A is through, then they want to hire you to be in film B. Think of that. Think of moving from film A to being an actor in film B to being a Broadway actor in film C or play C. Each one of those is a reality. When you get in there as the character, you may be a character that people would say is kind and gentle, like a comedy. But then play B may be where it's a drama. And then C could be you standing on the stage by yourself. And the whole play and the whole drama is about you and nobody else is there. So you have all of these experiences. We're moving from one movie to TV to being by ourselves. It's just movies. Look at that. You know, so let's lighten up. Lighten up. It's just a movie, doggone it. You don't, oh my. You don't have to get stuck in one movie. After you get paid, you move on to the next movie. Have you ever seen an actor that stayed in the same movie trying to do the same movie over and over and over again? No,
Well, sometimes.
They move on unless they have sequels.
It's still a different movie.
Sequel, you know, there are quite a few movies that had sequels to them, and you can stay in the sequel going from one thing to the another. But when you're in that sequel, each one of the parts of that sequel are different. It's not the same thing. You go through, if it's a 7 sequel movie, you're not seeing the same thing 7 different times. Each, they give you a little bit in the next one, and then they give you some more, and the next one after that, they give you a little bit more. So it's constantly in a state of changing. That's our lives. We're in a constant state of changing, and it's okay. The one thing that we want you to understand is that we suggest that as you go through these things, that you love yourself. You think that actress or actor inside that movie hates themselves? Really? Maybe they're playing a villain, but that doesn't mean they have to be the villain, and they're not. It's just a play. That's what personality is like. It's just a play. You get with somebody who is, you say, ooh, wee, that person is mean. Mean. Look how they're treating me. They're just a mean person. You know. So we get caught up in that. Then we get to the point where I don't like that person. Then we get caught up in the point as it keeps going on. We keep creating a relationship with this person. Then you wind up saying, I hate the person. When all you had to do was turn around and say, nah, I don't think I want to be bothered with that person. I'm leaving it because I love myself. And in fact, when you start to love yourself more and appreciate yourself more and understand you are divine, those people that come to show you that you are not won't even be attracted to you. See, everything is energy. They're not going to be attracted to you in the first place. That's why we say, love yourself, love yourself. Yes, that's important. When you love yourself, are you going to attract somebody who hates your guts? Absolutely not. When you love yourself and you care for yourself, are you going to attract automobile accidents? Absolutely not. When you love and care for yourself, are you going to attract to be in a war? Absolutely not. You see, so loving self is very important. Treating yourself with kindness, recognizing your divinity is very important. important because it sets the pace for your creation of reality. It sets the pace. It's not that the pace goes on and on. It can, but you're setting it all the step, through everything. You're setting the pace with that personality. My goodness.
Right.
Go ahead. Somebody wants to speak to us.
Yes, I wanted to know, are personalities like attributes of personality are more like tools? They aren't us. So you can pick up the kind tool and use it and you create with kindness, or you can pick up the mean tool and create with that one, or you can pick up the I don't love myself tool and then you create with that one. So but we think we are those tools, not just using them.
I think you've hit on something, Leigh. Very good. Very good. We like that.
If we pick up the mean tool and we have it in our hand, that's an energy we're carrying. So even though we may not know we've picked it up, but what we're creating, if we will look at it, will show us that we have it in our hand.
Let's see, the one thing that has to be done in order for you to do that, you have to, one, understand you created it in the first place. The second thing, once you understand that, then you'll be able to watch what you're creating. You'll be able
the movie.
to see, right? Absolutely. Thank you, Leigh. Thank you. You got it. You got it. Go, girl, go. Yeah. Yes, because you can recognize what you're doing.
Right.
Some people go through because they don't want to deal with themselves. Therefore, they don't look to see what are they attracting to themselves. When a person can see what are they attracting to themselves, they are going to know where they are as far as the unconscious. Because the unconscious supports the personality, you see. The unconscious is that which, notice a lot of people want to talk subconscious. We don't do that. We talk unconscious because the unconscious is part of the force, is the force. And it holds everything, for everything that is in existence. It holds everything. It holds every thought. It holds every experience. And it can differentiate when you, as a human being, wish to experience something. It will support you in that experience. But your personality also helps you. People say that we have a personality. But that's because you understand what a personality is in reference to yourselves. So therefore you project it on the rest of us.
And in personality and attitude, are they the same?
Personality is an attitude. I wouldn't say it's an attitude. Attitude, you could have a kind person and then have the attitude of being just too. It's not so much as being too nice. What do we want to say? We want to say you can have a personality of being savior. You want to save everybody. You got to save everybody. Let me help you. Let me help you. Let me take you out of your murk and mire. Let me show you the light. You see, let me save you. So that's a personality right there. People who like to go around saving people. But the interesting part about it is that when they go around saving people, in order to save the person, you have to judge them and criticize them in order to recognize that they need to be, quote unquote, saved.
Right. And how do we turn that inward, like what is in us that we are judging people that they need to be saved.
One in us, if you're a type of person that you feel that you want to save everybody and save the world, the first thing is to note that you are very fearful.
Okay.
People who want to save are very fearful people because they see, what do you do in saviorhood? In saviorhood, you get the people to try to support your concept, to support your ideal. That's what you want them to do. That's how you're saving them. I don't want you to go to school and do this. I want you to go to school and do that. That will be better for you. Oh no, you can't do this. That's not good for you. You're not going to survive in that career. Come on, we want you to do this. You know. So it's about understanding self and to get past that. But see, how do you do that? Because everybody is at a different space in doing that. The only thing we could say is one sentence: I love myself. That's a beginning. That's a beginning. There's some people who can't even stand in front of a mirror and look at themselves. They think they're horrible. They see themselves as being horrible, you know, and they give low vibrational connotations to themselves, you know. So
Realm.
that's challenging, but that's an easy way just to begin. Even say the one sentence: I love me. I love me. You know, we don't have to get all technical with the affirmations and all that other stuff. Just say, I love me. Begin there. That's a beginning. I love me. Can you imagine? Just 3 English words. And you can say it in any language. Any language you want. It states, I love me.
Realm.
Me.
That's a wonderful place to pause this podcast, Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today. Thank you, Realm. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Gretta. Thanks, Jacob. Until we create each other again, be well.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, the Realm, and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.